6.
Good evening, everyone. We'll get the October 24th, 2022 Planning and Zoning meeting started. I'd like to call the meeting to order and to see if I can get a motion to approve the agenda for tonight.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next, we'll get to the minutes from our August 1st, 2022 meeting. Did anyone have any corrections or suggested changes?
No.
If not, could I get a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Shelley, now's your big moment.
I have nothing so far.
You can second it if you.
Oh, I can second it.
Yeah.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. So then we'll move on to the next item, the revision of Callahan final plat.
Tom, would you like to speak?
I guess this is Origin's final plans.
Okay. Well, he has both using and Origin working on it.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, right. This was just an error on Origin's behalf, so it's basically bringing it back to correct that. Steve, you want to add anything to it?
The only thing I'd add is I looked it over, it looked fine. There was nothing of concern there, so.
And this has already been before you all, once before.
I don't have anything else with that.
So what was the error? The wetland?
A delineation error. So I guess it's basically when they were shooting the property, they didn't shoot it correctly.
Okay. Yeah, we've looked at this. I don't have any concerns
No,
with that change.
I looked at it.
If nobody has any questions, a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the final plat for Callahan in the wetland area for Lot B.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. So then next is the Callahan site plan review. This was a little bit more detailed. It kind of looked at kind of what structures may be there and that sort of thing.
See those. Is there any specific sheet that anybody wants to see? Yeah, I can scroll wherever you want.
Maybe that second page there.
Okay.
One of them that I was looking at, it looked like the building in the top right and the bottom middle, maybe. It looked like they fell within part of the 100-year floodplain, which I'm sure you all looked at and kind of you could enlighten us with the plan on kind of what that.
Can I speak to it?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Origin, excuse me, put the plans together, which was that previous plat,
Sure.
and they put that 100-year flood plan, I guess, on there. But in those same plans, they filled up to 825 or 1025, I guess, which is 1 foot above that, what that floodplain was. So with these plans, I just continued that same thing, so that they should have paperwork to bring it out of the floodplain.
Okay.
And this just continues with that being brought out of the floodplain, I guess.
Okay. So yeah, I guess looking specifically at that area that, I know it's kind of a lower lying field in, the previous plat, if that's accounting for the adjustment in the height.
If you go to the last page of this plan, So this is the plan sheet from the origin plans, which showed. It shows that existing 100-year proposed floodplain, line running, it's the darker line running through that lot down there. But if you follow the perimeter of the lot, the proposed grading shows all that. Can I approach the screen? So the entire lot, per this plan, the entire lot is being filled in up to 825, which is 1 foot above that 100-year, 1025, excuse me, up 1 foot above that 100-year floodplain. And then it's sloping down. So I mean, it's not going to be a flat lot by any means, the way they have it shown here, but the perimeter will all be at 825 above that 100-year floodplain.
Okay.
That makes sense.
So that was my only comment in the review with this. I'm sure you probably seen that too. And
Yep.
I think any approval will be contingent upon us getting the floodplain permit to accomplish that.
Sure. Yeah, thank you. That was really my only question at this point. Do you guys have any?
I think that answers it. You get the document for it.
Yeah, same with me. That's what my concern was, or question at least was around that is, you know, how are we gonna handle around that 100-year flood plan? So appreciate it.
So would they be looking to kind of move the dirt that's kind of existing there to like flatten it out, or would they be bringing dirt in, or?
What I see, it looks like it's all being taken off the northerly, north of the new Adriana Drive is what it's called.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, moving it down.
Yeah, moving, fill from, cutting out of the north side and filling in the south side.
Okay.
And Callahan's doing all that or the city's doing that?
Callahan's doing it.
Okay.
Any other questions, or would anyone like to table looking at these or make a motion to approve them for council?
I'll make a motion to approve Callahan site plan review.
I second that.
All in favor?
I guess, hang on though, do we need to have a final review with B&K in that motion?
I think, Mike, if we just made the motion contingent on receiving the floodplain permit to make sure that we bring that up to grade before they were to construct the buildings out there.
Yep, okay. Can we just amend that motion? Is that okay if we do that?
Yeah, that makes sense. So I'll make a motion to approve the Callahan site plan review with a provision that says that they will get the lot up to grade out of the 100-year floodplain.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Sounds like we might need it right now down there. Okay, so we'll move on to the final plat of Thunder Valley number 4.
This was brought before you on June 6th for approval. There's just a request from the pipeline. So there has been a revision to the final plat. We've got the developer here, Red. So if you want to say anything?
Is this the housing one we're doing, or?
No, this is the Black Hills, or is it Buckeye Pipeline?
This is actually the church lot.
Church lot.
That's been
That's
recorded.
been approved already. That's at the last council meeting.
Well, this is
This is Thunder Valley Place.
Thunder Valley Place.
Yep.
Then my Doug has a resolution out there for tomorrow
Can I approach again?
night. Yeah,
So
certainly.
if you go to the top page. So what's happened here, there was a lot over here in this right-hand corner, but the church bought a bigger lot. So we revised the plan for that, and then the Buckeye Pipeline has requested an
Emergency.
emergency
Egress,
access. Goes through there, so we put that easement.
Okay, so but there's nothing we need to do on this one then?
Approved back in July.
So we don't need to take any action on that one. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
So will that be on the agenda?
It is tomorrow night, yeah, definitely.
Okay, so we'll move on to plan survey meeting, Schwitter's Place number 2, the next level dance studio. Thank you. Looked at this previously, but I think this is just a more detailed version of kind of the overview of the existing partial with the lot that's split out. The bottom right.
Why not, right?
You want me to move to another page or zoom in or out? Just let.
Thanks. Based on what I could see, I mean, it really fell in line with what we talked about.
From our previous meeting, I agree.
They did a better job of kind of overviewing, like showing the whole overlay, that whole partial, including the new. Bottom right. Correct, yep. So that would be on Cox Springs. Yep. It's the dark corner. Water house just south.
Yes.
Yep.
Can you hear that rain?
Right, it might be at 150 here.
I hear it now. Yeah, I hear it. That's crazy. So is there any concerns with access? Annette, I know you've talked about this, I think, right? Or
Yeah, we did talk to.
what did we do there? Any?
Yeah, that will be the only point of access off of Cox Springs. Dean and I had several conversations with the birds saying that because ideally they wanted to parcel off a lot of the land along Cox Springs, and then they wanted an access point for each, and we said absolutely not. And we specifically ran the sewer up there, that double dotted flash line, knowing that they were going to put residential on the east side of that, and knowing that it would be accessed from that booster station driveway. And then obviously coming in off of Adrena Drive, the extension of Adrena Drive.
Okay, thanks.
You bet.
Next step for us then is to talk it out, right?
Right, so what'll happen, this goes before city council tomorrow night, they'll pass a resolution, and then you can take it and get it recorded, and then you can start planning away.
Yeah, I don't have any, I mean, everything to me looks like what we talked about, so I'd definitely make a motion to present it to council. Rest of the group agrees.
motion to move forward? Or should I
Maybe second.
Second that?
All in favor? Aye.
All right,
Anything for me?
Well, good.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care.
So then we'll move on to the next, Lisa Drive, the Royal Oaks, License Change Condition Preliminary Plat. There is a lot of information with this one to kind of look at, so are you here on your behalf?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
What's up, John?
Yeah, hopefully it's not raining, so we can. Well, I have detailed construction plans that are preliminary plans, to see if I can go over and answer any technical things. So what I'll do is I'll give an overview of all the aspects that go into the design, utilities, drainage, streets, trails, and all that. Just to give an overview. So, existing zoning and ag, the proposed zoning for this subdivision is, R1 and R2. And so the reason it has R2 is because, this last, report, there was some R2 down here with duplexes and such. We thought we'd keep that same idea possible in this area. You don't have to build everything the duplexes, but we thought that could extend and grow along that area. Those are areas that can have large lots as well. Do some other important things is we wanted to get this 10-foot wide trail on Isa Drive. And extend it along here over to the end, and that would be coming out here, and extend on in the future in that direction to get into a possible pond area up in the future. In order to accomplish that, the road right of way needs to be 60 feet wide. So we stepped back into these two subdivisions, actually this one and then the first one coming off the street. And we've got some plats that are part of this package that add 10 feet of right of way on the south side in order to accommodate a trail. So then that trail can get constructed up through there. The rest of the streets are this 50-foot wide right of way with a 31-foot wide pavement. All the streets are 31-foot wide. Standard is for local city streets. There's 2 detention basins, one here and one here. This is the railroad tracks down here. So the grading basically splits. You know, part of this heads back this direction to this basin area here. We detain the water and let it out slower so we don't cause problems for downstream people. Over here, this drainage goes down to the railroad track area. There's a stream that's in the actual, it's pretty wide railroad right of way up in there. And it flows down a ways just across from the Frisbee golf course is where it eventually dumps into there. So there's a detention area here. We thought that we'd shape this such that the trail could go around that as well, as part of that amenity. People going for a walk, hey, it's a nice place to walk around the detention basin. That was not intended to hold water. A dry bottom is probably be mowed. Let's propose that the city take that on as maintenance. That becomes the property to do that. That would be this one, that one. The grading is organized such that houses typically would have a walkout basement. So the roadways are somewhat moved onto ridges, and the grading is to build up where the roadways would be on ridges, but they do all have the curb and gutter. So when you walk to your backyard, they slope up to the front of your house, but then it goes down the hill to your backyard, so you can have a walkout there. A lot of people really like to walk out. If you can't get a walkout, at least you can get a garden window access or something like that.
John, how many homes are there
How many lots?
How many lots?
Okay, so a total of, I was thinking, we'll look at this area right up into here. Lot 80, 79, 80, it's 80 lots total. 1 through 54 are R1 and 55 through 80 are R2.
So everything south of East Drive would be R2 and everything north would be R1.
Yeah.
Kind of what it looks like.
Basically, yeah. Yep. There's also connectivity, ISA Drive, getting it up there right away, We also felt that Ryland Drive ought to extend down here. We initially had doing something different here, and they didn't line up. I thought, no, let's make them line up. That's just connectivity, so we did that. Sanitary sewer is served from 2 different directions. This half here, sanitary extends up to here and up into here. So parts of this go back to the west and actually through the berm of the detention basin to get back down here on the canal court. That was just laid out so that sewer will flow that way. The rest of it goes up to the pump station to the northeast. So all of these will flow east and north to the pump station there. Storm sewer is just generally following street grading, except that we are bringing a bunch of the drainage back south here to the detention basin to control it. There will be a lot of grading up, right off the bat. And obviously, erosion control measures put in place. There's a permit for that, so we'll have all that taken care of. Sewer and water permits will get sent in for sanitary and water and sewage treatment agreements with the city. And we'll go through, we'll submit these for, preliminary drawings for general consensus. Yeah, it looks like everything's in order.
So you haven't sent those over.
No, I guess I did.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything. I mean,
It's not really a requirement
No, I
for
know.
preliminary plat, but
agreed.
I wanted to have them here that if questions came up that I could actually have all the answers. These detention basins can be, sized to handle, well, they will be sized to handle the 100-year runoff. But I like to try and oversize them a little bit just to make sure people are taken care of. They aren't really that deep here. It's just, this one's a wider area. You can't, because we're discharging to the railroad right of way, it's not a steep drop off at that location. So it needs to be pretty shallow and wide.
Do you capture all of the runoff in this development in those spots, or do you lose some to the northeast a little bit?
There's a little bit we don't catch is from the front of the houses that run back that I don't know how to do that.
No, agreed.
The rest of it, we're catching here from Cashel Drive and bringing that south. I propose that we run a drainage swale on the north side of lots 37 through 45. So that we could bring the drainage east into a storm sewer there. That's north of Cashel Drive East. Right now, when you're on Ginger Drive, you look at there and you see an embankment. Well, if you left that way, the water from the next subdivision would want to flow onto your property and between your houses. And I could see that as kind of a nuisance. So we're gonna make our best effort to catch that water and run it east and get it into a storm sewer And we just don't have enough grade to bring that south. That really does have to go north to drive to go to that separate system up there. It's flowing that way already now. So. Well, what else can I say? Are there any questions here? I think we'll just finish the final design over winter here. And they'll probably want to get going in the spring. So the paving was done past the intersection at Canard. They didn't want to get too far there. We actually had them extend the sanitary sewer to the north side of this road up here for what they installed here. So there's a sanitary manhole ready to go for some of this up here. They're not gonna have to bring, it previously ended here, just east of Canard. I told them, bring it to the north side of the road so that we don't need to have a second manhole installed for a 60-foot run across the roadway. But that was really part of the previous subdivision, but I just thought I'd bring that up.
I like the fact that you're putting the walking trails in there. Do you have any vision? I know this is only preliminary for the future park that you have on there labeled. Do you have a vision for what that future park?
Larger one or
I
on
think
here?
on there on the left side below, I think it's labeled future park.
Yeah, we just kind of showed it to be graded out on the slope south. And then we'd have a let down structure here. The storm sewer would run on the east side of that. We'll have a berm that runs across here so it just doesn't run over the edge. We bring it back to an inlet and drop into here. It's just kind of set up for a green area there. I guess that's something that the city could propose. Hey, that's equipment or trees or up this open space for now.
The plan would be, to do everything all at once, so when this would be all.
Well, a lot of times you'll have a preliminary plat and you'll preliminary plat the whole thing. And maybe you'll come back with a final plat that says, do this part of stage 1 and this part of stage 2. We really like to show the whole plan on the preliminary plat. I, as an engineer, I have to have the plan regardless to know where we would quit and that everything works. They do like their grading operations around here, and so I imagine, if the crop's not in there, they are gonna wanna start with the grading and strip the topsoil and work on the general grading, put the storm sewer in for the detention basins, and then typically work on sanitary sewer first and water, and then paving is kind of last eventually. But if there was something done first, I would imagine that it would be the southwest corner. They'd have to start here and come up because all the sanitary is coming up from this side. So they pretty much have to split it to where the sanitary sewer serves from this southwest corner. This would be first. So we have protected the property edges by diverting and making sure water would run around and into the basin versus flowing onto other people. It goes into the storm detention area. This storage unit area here has a pipe that runs underneath the property between the central region, pretty wide area there with its rock. And the pipe size that we have coming out there and the detention that we would have would throttle the water down to be less than it won't top the existing flow that would normally come off of there.
What do you have for an overflow on that one, John? What's the route?
Get into the plan.
Well, you put two engineers on one side of the table, we're gonna get into the plans.
Yeah.
This isn't part of the preliminary plan, but it's more satisfying my curiosity on this. But
This design, I've seen it before.
well, I'm just curious, so what the flow of the water, now, obviously you're gonna have control structure on this someplace.
Yeah.
Just, I'm just curious where the overflow is routed with all the storage units down here. Does it go around it?
Do you mean the overflow?
The overflow.
It would be probably on the southeast area here. The embankment will be taller in the middle. I would hesitate to try and put it at that location.
Yeah.
I'd say it probably would go near the southeast area, so it could flow back down to here.
Okay.
I mean, possibly it could come off of here and come down, but,
I'm just curious.
the other option is to totally over design that as well, such that it's even exceeding the 100 years
Well,
on the
the
principles.
reason I ask is, there'll be an event someday that exceeds the capacity of that. So where does it go and what's the structures downstream of that? How are we protecting those to be able to carry that overflow, either with an oversized outfall pipe or some ditch that goes around them? I'm not sure.
You also have to consider that when the downstream person put in some sort of infrastructure way back when, what did they use to design theirs? Well, the regulations call for a design for the difference between the pre and the post and whatever it shows, but it doesn't necessarily say that if a guy downstream installed a very small pipe that was really smaller than it really should have been.
How about I reframe this? I rent one of those storage units down there and I don't want my stuff to flood. How about that?
Yeah, well, and that's why I say we have control over how that's designed.
Right, that's what I was asking.
And so the software that we have simulates the 100-year rainfall and how it flows through the pipe and how it goes over the spillway. And we want to store as much volume as we can to keep that flow going out.
I've got everything on 2x4s, so it could come up about an inch and I'm good.
It is pretty flat back in that region.
Yeah, so I think there's this 24-inch pipe running through there that extends onto the other property and I don't know that we want to connect those two together. You typically want to leave those as separate.
You want to surge
System. But
I guess that's something to work out on the final plans and whatnot. This is just the plan, so. But you had a lot of that utility stuff in there, so I didn't know if you thought that far ahead as to where that's going.
And we show how we think the lots are gonna be laid out here. We may have to change configuration, put in an emergency spillway such that maybe this lot ends up a little bit different shape, so we can get that in there. If you try and figure out every single detail on a preliminary, I have to redesign the whole thing 4 or 5 times.
Right.
We hesitate to do that before we bring it forward to comments. Can you are you able to zoom up the road, on the road section?
You bet. Which section of?
Lower right, those details down there.
Can you pull that up in or not?
There it is.
Just a little delayed.
Sorry, we don't have hold music, so.
Is this where you want to be?
Yeah,
A little farther over.
A little further over?
If you can drag it so you can show both of them, I can talk about how they're different, typical road cross sections. Okay, so this cross section here is when you have just a standard road. It's 31 feet wide. It's gonna have 6 inches of rock underneath it. We're calling 7 inches of concrete. We may switch that to asphalt later. I don't know. We'll look at it. If we have any type of subgrade issues, problems, we'll add some additional rock to stabilize modified macadam, but typically with big grading operation, unless there's something strange going on, we shouldn't need that. Flow streets get a subdrain under them, take water, curb and gutter on everything. The difference is on ISA drive, you're gonna have this 10-foot trail on the right side. It takes basically 60 feet of right of way to have a trail versus if you just have the road, it's 50 on those. So that'll have I'm calling out if it's concrete, it should be 6 inches thick and then have 6 inches of stone on it. Those are the two differences for those.
So I reviewed this. I didn't see any issues with the plat.
Yeah, and I think what you showed kind of differentiated kind of the existing with the R2 and kept that consistent, as it continues, back to the east and then north with R1. I think that makes sense to connect the neighborhoods that are there. And I like the connectivity with the roads, because they're dead ends now where the previous subdivision stopped. So I didn't really see any concerns either from the standpoint of how you laid things out.
So it does, just because it's R2, it doesn't mean that somebody can't buy a lot and put a single family home on it. It just means that it's acceptable to have something different. Some of them might be laid out that are a little narrower than the wider ones that are going in on 7th edition right now at Canard Court.
Maybe this could get into the weeds too, because it is a preliminary, but when you talk about possibly having the retention basins turned over to the city, does the city want to support those
We've
types
done
of?
it before, so.
Okay, sure. I guess that could be discussed.
Yeah, city guys,
Love that, but.
they love taking care of those, don't they?
Right. I mean, the future park space, I think that's like nice, if there's something usable there, I think that's always a nice attribute to, the greater community, but.
The park space being on the same side of the road as a trail, they're just, hey, in the future, does the city want to invest in? You just park along there, or is there a parking lot to put there? Is it a destination people are driving to, or you park alongside the road and you get out and go in there, Those are the things to think about is what the city desires to do with that.
I mean, this really flows very nicely with the comprehensive plan,
Totally.
future land use. And I commend what you've done.
I think it looks really good. Yeah, I like the trails. I mean, I think that's.
You also have these flats up on this, part of.
She's running it right now.
I'm sorry.
Do you have these other flats that Trick John?
The acquisition plats, the acquisition,
Yes.
yeah, this one,
There's
yes,
3 of them.
yep.
And We could turn our heads sideways.
Basically what those were, John, they were just adding the 10 feet to the right of way to accommodate the trail, right? So there's that odd one on the corner. That one continued on from there.
So it's replatted of their acquisition that the city's getting, the developer's giving 10 feet more to the city.
And trail on the sidewalk is just the width of it. Sounds like it'd be a rock trail.
And I didn't know whether that was like an action or will be council meeting.
It will be.
Is that separate from preliminary plat?
It is, yeah, we have it split up.
Does anybody have any other questions or comments?
Really thorough review. Good stuff, it looks like. And that one that I'm sure council or maybe to think about, and this isn't part of this, but that Issa Drive, is that something in time as we think about connectivity in Piasta, could that run to Cox Springs? So I know not part of this, but as you start thinking about how do we get more connectivity in Piasta, is that a way to potentially do that someday? So anyway, real nice review though. Thank you.
Yeah, so I looked at some connections to go east from this as well, in general, and yes, bring in that Issa Drive further east. But at a certain point, you have to cross the road. You have to get across the drainage ditch down there in order to get to Cox Springs to where you can connect. So I was believing that Ginger Drive would be extended out. So Ginger Drive would definitely be one, and Issa would be the other. And those two would go east, and then a single road eventually cross the creek, and then go further to Cox Springs. That's how it would be laid out. Eventually, when you get too far east, you can't get it back to the pump station. And you have to install another pump station down near Cox Springs Road somewhere.
That'd be a big one. That'd open up a lot of land.
Yeah.
Put it down there.
Pretty much.
That whole, pretty much everything west of Cox Springs almost. It's gonna happen eventually though.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve the preliminary plat that we reviewed for Issa Drive, Royal Oaks, East Edition preliminary.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, John.
Thank you. And then next is the review of commercial and industrial corridor over. We started talking about this at our last meeting, and they really did a nice job of kind of overlaying in good detail some of the potential requirements and regulations that we would have for the city for development moving forward.
Somebody didn't pay the bill.
And I know that this was vetted through several current developers.
All of them, yeah.
And there was very positive feedback overall that, they thought that it was consistent with a lot of the things that they're already doing.
Just accept it, Marcy.
It won't make me go through maybe a bunch of stuff.
I don't know.
Press accept too. I don't even think about it anymore.
Good. Well, yeah, good.
Victory.
Keep an eye on.
Keep an eye on it. Got it.
Obviously, if this gets through tonight, then it will go to city council tomorrow, and the next agenda item, we'll have to have a public hearing because we're changing the zoning. But I think this is a good step in the right direction to make sure that we have design criteria to keep at least a good standard throughout the community as we continue to grow.
And I just applaud in that the efforts of talking to the developers and hearing from them, it was well received too. So I think this is a great thing, so. So I'll make a motion to approve that will insert the, how would I say this, commercial and industrial overlay district into the existing zoning code.
I'll second the motion for the review of commercial and industrial corridor overlay district regulations. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Great, thank you. And then next is the zoning ordinance revision.
Yeah, this just really puts the overlay district language and the solar energy language inside the zoning ordinance to make it even incredibly larger document. So again, with the recommendation from P&Z, I can take this to council tomorrow and have them set a public hearing date so that we can get this adopted. And the reason for the solar energy language is because of the tax credits that the state of Iowa is giving. We've had probably 3 or 4 people already apply and we didn't really have any standards in place. So we're just playing catch up. That's what we seem to like to do in Piasta these days. Yes. So with your blessing, I'd like to see a recommendation so I can take it to council tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the zoning ordinance revision.
I'll second the zoning ordinance revision. All in favor?
Aye.
All right,
All right. And then citizen comment. I don't think anybody else is on the Zoom besides Mike, but does anybody else have anything to discuss tonight? Got a lot to go over, so that's good.
really good meeting.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. How about that? I'll end on that.
I'll second. We're all in favor. Favor?
Thank you all. Take care.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good night.
Stu.
A whole bunch of stuff you need to sign.
Yep. Yeah, thanks for having it all. Ready to roll. I appreciate
I'll
it.
come over there and we can do it all.
Got it.